Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Wiped Up Coach. So today I'm going to be talking about feminine mystique. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure this light is great. Okay, there we go. Alright, so welcome to my channel. I know it's been a minute since I posted a video, but today I'm going to be talking about feminine mystique. And is it deceptive or not? So, this is a question that comes up a lot. That I hear people inboxing me and asking questions about this on Facebook. Um, is am I being myself when I am displaying feminine mystique or being mysterious or whatever? How can I do it and still be myself? That's one version of the question that I get. Or I get, is it like game playing or something like that? So a lot of people are wondering, basically, is it deceptive to display feminine mystique or to be in feminine mystique? So the short answer is no. Okay. Now I'm going to go through that, but the short answer is no. Um, and it's no because when you are getting to know someone, when you're getting to know a man or whatever, you have to realize that you both are starting on a clean slate. You don't know him, right? And he doesn't know you. So the purpose of dating, the purpose of courting is for you to find out information about each other and find out if you are a good match for each other, right? That's the purpose of dating. So how men work in this dating process is that they want to uncover you little by little by little, right? When you give them all of you or the majority of you up front, then they will quickly lose interest. Because the way the male mind is created is that it has to have something to work toward in order for it to feel accomplished or feel like it's in alignment with something, right? So if the word, that's why men are very, for the most part, very, very career oriented. A lot of them, you hear a lot of men say, I have to achieve this before I can settle down, or they're always on the grind and things like that. They're trying to, I'm trying to work for my family. I'm trying to work so I can have a family. Just different things like that. So if you notice, men are very goal oriented. And another thing is when you are talking to men, a lot of times you'll notice, like, I was actually just talking about this with a friend last night, actually. Um, and he was like, you know what, it really bugs me that when I have a woman, when we're on a date or something, and they're talking to me, and, or not just date, but like just a woman talking to him. So he's like, they're telling me what's going on in their life. Maybe they're talking about a friend. Maybe they're talking about something that happened to them during the day, right? And so he's like, okay, well, I tell them, maybe you should do this. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about this? So his first thing is to come with a solution to their problem or the problem that he thinks that they have. But a lot of times they'll get annoyed and say, well, I already thought about that, or I really don't want you to say that. I just really need you to like listen. Or maybe they won't even say that if they don't know how to express themselves. They'll just get agitated, and he'll get agitated. And so it becomes this whole like male or this feminine versus masculine energy thing, where the feminine energy, for the most part, just wants to build connection through talking and expressing itself or herself. And the masculine energy is like, oh, I see a problem. There's something that needs to be achieved. There's a goal. There's something that I need to achieve. This is my chance to accomplish something. So that's what masculine energy is about. It's task oriented. It's about accomplishing a goal. It's about doing something. So if you as a woman, if you want to inspire man's masculine energy, because if a man is using his masculine energy around you or in your presence, then he is going to be more inclined to, um, you know, choose you or feel like you're the woman for him, right? Because he's going to feel like a man, basically, So when you're in your feminine mystique, so basically what feminine mystique is, if you're not familiar with the term, it's just basically withholding certain aspects of yourself until a later time. You're not necessarily hiding who you are. You're not necessarily not being upfront about who you are, but you're just allowing someone to get to know you over time. And then you're also realizing that there's certain aspects of you that maybe it may not ever be a person's time to know about you unless they're going to be serious about you, i.e., you're going to get engaged or you're married or getting married to this person. So at that time, there's certain things that it's appropriate for that person to know about you at that time. But there's other things that should be revealed to that person in stages as you are getting to know each other, right? So this is a common mistake women make in dating, is they want to be upfront with their partner and they want to, oh, I want to tell him this, I want to tell him this, like I want to have this honest thing. I'm not good with like hiding or lying or something. And I'm not sure why people believe that you withholding your personal business that no one is privy to know or has the right to know is somehow lying. It's your personal business. That person is not, a person that's privy to certain information. Are they your mother? Are they your employer? Are they your husband? Like, these are certain individuals that are privy to certain types of information about you, but other people pretty much aren't. You know what I'm saying? You don't owe anyone a play-by-play of your life or certain things that's going on with you, certain baggages you may have. And especially if you have certain baggage, you definitely don't want to unload that on a man you're dating too early, if ever. And I say if ever because it depends on what the baggage is. Sometimes certain things need to just be worked out between you, your creator, and whoever else may be involved, if that is possible. If that isn't possible, then you know, if you believe in a higher power, then working it out through forgiveness in that situation, working out through forgiveness of yourself and releasing the situation and just letting it go. There's this very misconception that you need other people's involvement to release certain things about that's going on with you. It's your personal journey, so you don't need to unload that on anyone else. Unless it's someone that can directly help you, like a therapist or something like that. But unloading on someone who is just getting to know you, it can be too much. So it depends on what it is. It depends on how soon you feel the need to tell someone. Because there are certain things, like if you are, say, HIV positive or something like that, or you have herpes, or maybe you can't have children or something like that, those type of information, those are things that, yes, you should let the person know pretty early on, right? Because those are things that could be a red flag for that other person. They have the right to know. So if it's things that maybe could be a red flag for them, or things that it's just good that they would know in the dating stage, and you have to realize in the dating stage is that the difference between being in the dating stage with someone and getting closer to a commitment with someone. So very few things does anyone really have a right to know about you if they're just getting to know you, right? You're just dating them. You're not exclusive. You're not married. You're not exclusive, or you're not working towards marriage, i.e. an engagement, right? So there's very few things that people really need to know about you. Now, what I want to do is I want to not confuse this with being vulnerable. Because I don't want you to say, okay, well, feminine mistakes means I need to hold myself back and I should not be open or tell him anything about me. Right? That's not true. Or let him see who I am. Let him see, excuse me, let him see, let him see, who I am as a person, who I am as a woman, who I am as a potential partner to him. It doesn't mean that. It just means that, let me see if I can give an example of what I'm saying. Like, if, let's say something very common that a lot of people go through, say you're in debt, right? Say you have like $20,000 in credit card debt and you've been trying to pay it off, or maybe you haven't, whatever. But you know that you have this credit card debt, right? So in getting to know someone, a lot of people ask like financial questions early on. A lot of women are asking men financial questions very, very early on, like how much they make and their credit. And they're talking about credit. I actually had a woman tell me that those are her first date questions. It's like credit score. Do you own a home? Have you ever owned a home? Job is fine. I mean, asking him his job is a fine question to ask. But like, trying to get into salary, things like that. Just trying to see his financial health on the first date is obviously going to be a complete turnoff to this man unless you're seeking some type of arrangement. And this is not a traditional date and this is like a sugar daddy exchange, then maybe he wouldn't welcome those type of questions. But if he's a normal man who's open to an a real relationship with you, he is going to feel like that is what you're seeking. Like you're seeking a sugar daddy situation. Because it's like, I don't even know if I like her, and she doesn't even know if she likes me at this stage, but she already wants to know so much about me, right? So that's going to turn about the fact that you're trying to know so much about him. Same thing when you're volunteering so much information about you. It's like the first encounters are about learning if you guys have a connection, if there's chemistry, not necessarily trying to plan your futures or unload your past on the person. I.e., like if you have baggage such as like I have debt or um, I grew up in foster care or something like that, or I was adopted or things like that, things that are like emotionally charged. Those are things that you share with people over time as people get to know you. You don't share those things immediately because honestly and this is one way that I kind of kept it in my mind is you have to ask yourself, and I don't mean to say this in a harsh way, but it's actually very true in reality, right? Is you have to ask yourself, who cares, right? Like at this point, he doesn't know me. Why would he care? And it's not even in a negative, heartless type of way, but it's just caring about other people's life or what they're going through or what they have been through. Yeah, you can care on the basic human level of like, oh, I care about everyone. I care in that level, yes. But like for him to intimately care about you individually and really have concerns about the things that you're going through, if you're going through debt or if you really had a terrible childhood or something like that, or a terrible encounter, things like that, you have to allow the emotional attachment to come along first before you try to, you know, put that type of energy onto another individual, if that makes sense. So let me know in the comments if what I'm saying is making sense as far as feminine mystique goes, and if you understand the example that I gave. So it's definitely it's not about being deceptive, because a lot of women are like, well, does that mean that I should not say this, or should I not do this, or should I not let him know this about me, and should I not let him know that about me? And even sometimes I hear women say things like, oh, well, I don't tell him what type of job I have, or I change the name of the job I have, or things like that. And I kind of understand where that's coming from, in the whole sense of like, I'm trying to make sure that this man is like, you know, not one of those men, or, oh, what does she bring to the table? And um, he may be like a, maybe he's one of those men that you're trying to see if he's going to be a full provider. So you don't want, if you have like a, what most may consider a good job or something, you may not want him to know that. And I understand that logic per se, but I want to say that in and all, as you get to know someone, those type of things, like I'm saying is not deception, because I'm not saying that you should not tell the truth. Um, I'm not saying that you shouldn't tell the truth. Like, you shouldn't be like, oh, I'm just a babysitter or something like that. Like, I just babysit children part-time. If you're really a supervisor or something like that at Goldman and Sachs, or a manager at Goldman and Sachs, like, you should not say that, so you shouldn't like be openly deceptive about the things that are going on in your life. But there are ways that you can say, like, oh, like, if you work at Goldman Sachs or something like that, you can say, oh, I'm just in finance, and leave it at that. You don't have to go into details, but you're not being deceptive. But I have heard women saying things like, oh, I don't want to tell him my job title because I don't want him to, I want to see if he's a provider type, or if he's gonna like, if he is one of those men who are just trying to get help from a woman, or trying to see if she will take care of him per se, you know. Um, so then they say that they have a job they don't have, or a lesser job. Like I gave the example of saying, oh, I'm an administrative assistant, when you're really about to be the CFO or something. It's like, don't do that, because you wouldn't want a lie so blatant from him to come out later on, and you feel like, you're gonna feel, if you know how you'll feel if someone lies to you. You'll feel like, wow, was this necessary? Did they have to tell this lie? They didn't have to tell me this. They could have just not told me that. And it's the same thing. A lot of times when people lie to you unnecessarily, the first thought of your mind is, I didn't ask you this information, and you could have said X, Y, and Z. You didn't have to lie, right? That's usually the first two thoughts that come to your mind. So it's the same concept. Feminine mystique is not about lying. It's not about like playing smaller for who you are. Like, if you are doing great things, it's not about saying, oh, I'm doing nothing with my life and I'm just sitting home. It's not about playing small in order to test and see if a man is going to be the one who steps up and takes charge and wants to provide, and is able to do all those things for you. It's not about those things, because as I state, like, feminine mystique, vulnerability, all these things, authenticity, they go hand in hand. So you have to be real, and you have to be who you are. But at the same time, in being real and being who you are, it doesn't mean you need to put all your beans, or all your cards, I should say, on the table. You're still playing the game. So you just want to play the game strategically and put your cards out in an order where you can win the game, pretty much, instead of being like, oh, everyone, look at my cards. And, no card game will you win if you are showing your hand. So it's basically about not showing your hand, but if, for example, and I think this is a really great metaphor, I guess, analogy is the word. So for those who play games like poker or spades or something like that, you have your hands, you have your deck of cards. And so I'll give the example with spades because it's probably the best example. But and they're playing spades, a card game called spades, then you have your deck, you have your hand, right? And you look at your hand and you already know, or you can predict, or you're going to predict based on your hand, how you think this game is going to go for you, right? Or your teammate if you're playing in teams or whatever. So you're going to play the game. You're going to play the game. You're going to play the game. So someone puts out a card. Say someone puts out a club, a 3 of clubs or something like that. Now you don't have 3 of clubs. Or I'm sorry, you do have 3 of, you have clubs in your hand. So you wouldn't not put down a club because you have a club, right? You have the club, because if you don't put down a club, say you have a 5 of clubs in your hand. If you don't put that, or yeah, say you have a 5 of clubs or okay, let me make this example a little bit better. Okay, so say the card that is down is a 7 of clubs and you have a 5 of clubs. Now you really want to get this book, so you think, maybe I should not put down this club and put down a spade. Now, those who know how to play spades, you understand. If you don't know how to play spades, sorry for this analogy. But, so you put down this spade, or you want to put down this spade. Now, wanting to put down that spade is an example of being deceptive with feminine mystique, because you have a club in your hand, right? So you should put down the club that you have to continue to play the game, because you're playing one card at a time. Like, you're not giving everything, because if you were to show the whole table, or the next person you're playing with, your hand, then you wouldn't be in feminine mystique, because everybody already knows your play. They already know what you are capable of doing, what you're able to achieve based on what you just showed them. So there's no feeling of let me continue to play with her. Like, it's going to be boring at that point, right? Because it's like, I already know what books you're going to get. I already know when you're going to cut me off and all those things. So it's like, there's no point in playing the game with you, because you've already shown me everything, right? So that's an example of not being feminine mystique, right? And then if the club is there, and then you want to put down a spade, and you're like, well, I really want to win this. I really want to win this scenario. So I'm going to put down a spade instead of put down the club. Then you are what they call in spades, reneging, I think is a term. So basically what that means is you're putting down a card that you shouldn't put down, when you have a card that you should put down. So an example of telling a guy like, hey, I'm an administrative assistant, or I'm a secretary, or something like that, when you're really in a not, then that's an example of reneging, because at some point, as you continue to play the game, that club that you had is going to come out. And then somebody's like, oh, you reneged. And then you lost the game, right? And so that person is not going to be interested in you anymore, because they're going to be like, well, why did this woman feel the need to tell me that she was this administrative assistant, when, come to think of it, she is actually, like I said, a supervisor or something like that. It's going to feel like, why was that? Why? Like, why would you do that? And it feels like, then people start to feel like, when someone catches you in one lie, they start to feel like, well, what else did this person lie about? Right? So that's why I really want everyone to understand the difference between feminine mystique and just being straight out deceptive. And I want you to understand that feminine mystique is not deception. It's not deception. Because it's realizing that this is my business. This is my business. And at certain levels of my business, this person hasn't earned to know certain things about me, right? And then it's also about even revealing certain aspects of you, or certain things you feel comfortable doing in front of that person. Like, I saw a meme on Facebook, or I think it was a meme, where it was like the man, it was in the bathroom, a couple in the bathroom, and the guy is brushing his teeth, I think, or shaving, and she's on the toilet. And they're just, talking or whatever. I don't know. It's a picture, so you can't really tell if they're talking. But anyway, the gist is, and the meme said something like, I want this type of relationship. Now that relationship goes against everything that is feminine mystique. Even if this couple is married, like this is a type of stuff where you still need to keep your mystique, your mystery, even if you've known the person for a long, long, long time. Doing things like grooming in front of someone, or, you know, having certain bodily functions in front of someone, it really takes away the person seeing you as this. I'm trying to word this to not be, but it really takes away from like still discovering you. Because the thing about it is, like, as long as you feel like there's something more to discover about somebody, the more you'll be interested in them. And this is still if you're married. Like, even if you're married to somebody, there should never be a feeling of like, I know everything about him, I know everything about her. You should still feel like, oh, I learned this about him yesterday, or I learned this about him last week, or there's parts of him or her that I don't really know. Not in like she's hiding something. Remember, I said it's not about deception. Like, you know, like if you feel like the person's hiding something important from you, that's different. But it's just something about like, hey, I don't really know everything about her. Like, I'm still discovering things about her. And that's what makes a relationship fun and keeps it alive. So if a person is like, well, I don't have a problem with taking a crap in front of you while you're shaving and things like that, it's kind of like in that territory of like you're too comfortable with each other, and it's kind of like there's nothing to really discover. Like, you are exposing everything about you to that person all the time. And especially if you live with them and you're married to them, then you're going to see them all the time, and you're going to be around them, and so you're going to feel like, I know this person so well. And it can happen very quickly if you get too comfortable around them. And then that's kind of where a lot of times relationship starts to deteriorate, is when there's no, like, especially on a man's end, where he feels like, this is boring, I know everything about her. And he may not even logically go through this thought process, but subconsciously he'll start to feel that way of like, there's like, I know that she always wears this color hair. She always brushes her teeth at 5 o'clock. Or every time I come in to shave, she has to come in here and take a crap. Or, like, she always drinks like a bottle of wine as soon as she gets home from work. Like, you don't want that predictability in it. And this is what I'm talking about even when you get married to somebody. But this also works in dating. Like, you want to keep some spontaneity in the situation that also plays into the mystique. So basically, to end this video, because I don't want to make it super, super, super long. It's already at the 30-minute mark almost. So, but basically, it's just about you realizing that I should allow a man to get to know me layer by layer by layer by layer for the things that he should know. And I can't really tell you those things because they're very person specific, they're couple specific, so some things that I may feel like a person should never know, maybe that person needs to know for your specific situation. So I'm not going to give examples of things that you should or should not tell someone, because it's definitely a case by case situation, and you just have to use your personal discernment in those situations. But you definitely can ask yourself the question of, well, does this person really need to know this at this stage about me? And if it's yes, then share it. If it's no, then don't. And you have to ask yourself, are you sharing this because you want to, like, this person to feel sympathy for you, for this person, you trying to close some type of gap, build some type of connection with this information? If you feel like that is the type of situation, I would also say don't share it. Now, if you need to share it because, like I said, you feel like this is something this person needs to know because it will help them make better decisions for them, you feel like it's fair in the case of, like, if you have an illness or a disease, like if you have herpes or something like that, or cancer or something, or you can't have children, and you ask this person they want to have children, then that's something they should know. But if it's everything else, it's probably something that you should just like allow the flow of it to happen and the person to just kind of unlayer you over time, kind of like an onion. You just, or like a flower petal, you're just like picking off little by little. So it's something that the person will naturally get to know. So it's kind of really so much about just trusting the process of dating and not trying to use information to manipulate someone or deceive them or to get a certain outcome, right? So that's basically what this video is about. So hopefully I answered all those people who have inboxed me asking me, is feminine mystique deceptive? Hopefully I answered. If not, then definitely drop your questions in the comments and I will try my best to answer them. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much, everyone. And do not forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe. Until next time, I will see you all later. Bye-bye.